قل لئن اجتمعت الإنس والجن على أن يأتوا بمثل هذا القرآن لا يأتون بمثله ولو كان بعضهم لبعض ظهيرا.
Say, if all the humans and the jinns banded together to produce a Quran like this, they would not be able to produce one like it, no matter how much assistance they give each other.
Prime index generator of the Quran, and so I want to describe this because this is a very important problem in mathematics, and so and some of these mathematics are basically brand new, and so I'm going to explain them to you. And in number theory, the prime numbers have always baffled mathematicians, basically from where they discovered the numbers or when they discovered the numbers. So there are two sites here, godalone.org and godalone.com. Either one of them will take you to the same. So here is a quotation from Johannes Kepler, and about 400 some years ago, he understood that the chief aim of all investigations of the external world should be to discover the rational order and harmony which has been imposed on it by God and which he has revealed it to us in the language of mathematics. So understood that really that God is speaking to his creation with the language of mathematics. And so what we see today is going to be a very clear example of that, and how the scripture is actually encoded with mathematics. Prime numbers. What are prime numbers? Prime numbers are numbers that are divisible by themselves and one only. So that means a prime number is divisible by two numbers. Okay, so it's either itself or one. So by this definition, number one is not a prime number, because 1 and 1 are the same. So it's only one number. So 1 is divisible only by number, which is itself. Okay, because 1 is also itself. So by this definition, 1 is not a prime number. So the smallest prime number is 2. So it is a formal mathematical challenge to determine if a number is a prime. So many algorithms have been developed to find new prime numbers. No method exists linking prime numbers to their positional rank or their index. For example, the 1143rd prime can only be realized if we index them from the first prime, which is 2, to the 1143rd prime. So you basically generate all the primes from the first prime, which is 2, second prime is 3, and so on, until you get to the 1143 one. And then you look at across this table they generated, and you say, aha, it's 9221. Okay. So understanding prime numbers would lead to appreciating the complexity of composites, twin primes, lonely primes, factorization of semi-primes. So every time you go to a bank or something, your account is protected by these so-called semi-primes. And these are the multiple of 2 prime numbers. And so if somebody breaks that code, then they can actually see the map of your account, and then they can hack into it. But that is a formidable task, and no one can do that. So here I have made that table that I was talking about. Okay, so we see that the first number is 2. That's the index of first number. 1 is 1. 2 is the index of second number, prime number, which is 3. The third prime number is 5, and so on. And so, as we talked about, 1143rd prime number is 9221, and the 1187th prime is 9619. So what are composites? So a composite number is a number which can be factored out into prime numbers. So the smallest composite is 4, actually. It's 2 times 2. So it's a number that can be factored out into prime numbers. So 2 times 2, 2 is a prime number times itself, 2 makes 4, and 4 is a composite. 2, 2, 3, 4, 6 is also a composite because it's 2 times 3 times 17 times 23. Okay. So this is the so-called unique factorization domain of these composites. That means that they've already factored out into its prime components, and you cannot factor it any longer. So this is it. Here's a table of composites, and as you see on the left side, we have the indices, and on the right side, we have the composite, the corresponding composite, and you see that the 19th composite is 30, and the 114th composite is 150, and so on. And in this case, actually, it's the same problems that we have with the prime numbers. We cannot tell the index, the relation between the index and the composite, because we do not know the relation between indices and primes. And so that lack of knowledge actually affects our ability to tell the relation between a compositeness index. So what's a Gaussian prime? A Gaussian integer of the complex form a plus bi, where I is equal to square root of minus 1, is a Gaussian prime if and only if either one of a or b is 0, and absolute value of the other is a prime number of the form 4n plus 3, with n a non-negative integer, or both are non-zero and a squared plus b squared is a prime number, which will not be of the form 4n plus 3, such as number 17. Number 17 is a prime number, but it's factorizable, or can be factored out, in the complex domain. So it's 4 plus I times 4 minus I. And these two numbers, you can multiply them because that's an algebraic identity. Becomes 16 minus I squared. But I squared is minus 1. So minus times minus is plus. So it would be 16 plus 1, and it's going to be equal to 17, which I refer to as a Gaussian composite, okay, because it can be factored out in the complex domain. So these definitions are on the wiki page, and you can check them for yourself. So let's see prime mathematics, the generator of the Quran, that all of these things somehow are generated in the Quran. And not only that, it tells us that out of all of these different variations of the Quran that have different verse structures and things like that, and which one is actually correct. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. So this, as I said, the only hint that we have is Quran 74:30, that God said over it is 19.
عليها 19.
Okay, so the mathematics encompasses prime, two and primes, positional additive primes, and all of these things that I talked about. And this mathematics is beyond human knowledge. Okay. This is an unknown mathematics, and it's a huge challenge to mankind. We do not have an answer for it. Okay, generators. So what do you mean by generators? There they are. Okay, so this is the 19th prime number and 19th composite. And 19th prime number is 67, and 19th composite is 30. So immediately from this line, we see that chapter 67 has 30 verses. And multiplication of 67 with its index, which is 19, yields 1273. The number of word God from the beginning of the Quran to 9127 is exactly 1273. Okay, so how do we know that this is actually supposed to be 9127? There it is. 19 times 30 is equal to 570, and 570 is the index of Gaussian prime 9127. And also, furthermore, the frequency of Aleph Lam Mim in Surah 32, which is called prostration, is exactly 570. So it gives us all this information about the Quran. One line. Okay, again, it goes back to over at his 19.